This is But the Years Are Short, the podcast where mamas who are therapists share real advice for real families. I'm Megan.
And I'm Katie. And we want to be your front porch community where you can laugh and learn with us about the beautiful, messy, overwhelming, hilarious work of raising kids.
Because the days are long,
but the years are short. Okay, Megan. So I don't know how many cups of coffee I needed to get this morning started, but I have to tell you the most ridiculous thing that happened to me today.
Okay.
So every time I cook anything in my kitchen, in my oven, my smoke alarm goes off.
Oh, yes. I remember you saying this.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny that I told you that part already. Okay. So it's like the most sensitive thing, right? And so I decided to Google this because I got tired of it. And so it said it might be getting too old. And so in my house, I was like, I have no idea how old these smoke alarms are. So I climbed up a ladder, obviously, to get to it.
This morning?
Like you do. Well, I did this last night. And
okay. I was like, that's a morning.
I pull the smoke alarm off and I realize it is the original smoke alarm from when the house was built, which was in 92.
Yes. So getting too old could definitely be the reason.
And so I went to a Home Depot and I got a smoke alarm that has the battery built in. Okay.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. This is like a new thing. Okay. And they last 10 years.
Oh,
so
that's even better.
I know. So you don't have to swap out the battery once a year or whatever. So I swap it out with this new smoke alarm. And this part's last night, right? Okay. And so then this morning I get up, I go through my routine, and I am waking up my girls and I hear a chirp. And I was like, what? And so I go stand under the smoke alarm and I wait for another chirp. And I'm like looking around, I hear another chirp, and I'm like, it's not coming from the one from last night. Like the one in the kitchen.
The new one?
It's not coming from the new one.
Okay.
It's not coming from the new one. And so then I am looking around for the other smoke alarms because I've only lived there for a year. And because I'm me, I don't know where they are. And yeah, so I go find, there are two more in my house because it's a small house. And so I go and I find the other two and I stand under them and I'm looking at them. And my girls are like, Mom, what are you? They're groggy in their pajamas,
Yes. Very curious why you're standing in the middle of the hallway because they don't understand the smoke alarm.
Staring at the ceiling.
Yeah, sure.
And so I keep thinking I don't think it's this one. And then I find the one in my room and I stand under that one for a while and I'm like, that doesn't sound right either. So I cannot tell you how many times I climbed on a ladder and stood underneath one of the smoke alarms listening to it. And then I was like, this isn't right. It's not this one. It's not this one. I took them all down. All of them this morning. I took all of them down off the ceiling. They were all original, except for the one that I replaced. Yes. And it was still chirping. So then, of all the smoke alarms removed from my house, I put them in the garage because at this point I was like, what is happening? Is it in my brain? But the girls were saying, so what's happening? It's still, there's another chirp, right? So their carpool comes, picks them up. They're gone. I have moved all of the smoke alarms into the garage, go back in my house. There's still a friggin' chirping happening.
No way.
Yeah, right. So then I start to think, I'm going to Google what else chirps. And then as I started to Google, I thought, all right, you dummy. The one you pulled down last night from the ceiling is in the trash can.
In the
kitchen
house?
Trash can. Yeah, in the kitchen trash can. So that whole time, I spent an hour and a half on it. And that whole time, the dang, old smoke alarm, the first one I pulled down was in the trash can in the kitchen.
Do you know something? That exact same story happened to me. And mine was in the garage, but my dog is the reason we figured out it was not the ones in the house. Because he would run, he heard the sound first, right? And he hates that sound. So he was running away from the garage. And so that's how we figured out, oh crap, we just left this sitting on the workbench and it was still going off.
Brilliant.
I've done the same thing, literally.
Well, I am now going to replace all of them because they're all 30 years old.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
And they're all beeping in my outside trash can.
Well, there we go. Just
And
not
I
in the
figured
house.
it's probably going to drive all the dogs in the neighborhood crazy. I didn't think about that, but now that you say that,
Yeah, it's
that's
funny.
funny.
I
Oops.
know. Mm, that'd be right. That'd
Well,
be
I
right.
thought I had a thought this morning that like if it were anyone else, they probably would have figured this out half an hour ago, but
Oh, no. I did the
oh
same thing.
well.
Well, maybe other people, but you and I kind of run the same wavelength, so.
That's true. That's true. This is a good point you make. It's a good point you make.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today: privacy versus secrecy, and with our kids. And so I know we spent a hot minute on this when we talked about grown-ups and privacy,
Mhm.
but I'm going to define this a little bit more, and then we're going to dive into what does it look like for our kiddos and families, and how do we navigate this. So, um, privacy and secrecy we kind of like use interchangeably sometimes, but I think they're actually really different. And so when we talk about it here, we're going to talk about secrecy being something that I want to keep from people, right? And so there's this sense of like maybe a lot of shame around it. There's a lot of it could be embarrassment around it, but it's something that typically we say is harmful. So it harms myself, it harms my relationships, it can harm something else, right? And so it's something that we're people, all of us want to keep like totally shut down and don't want to share. And so that's secrecy. We typically say like secrecy is not a good thing in families. I specifically when I were with like little kids, and we were talking about learning our bodies and private parts and learning boundaries. One thing I always tell kids is and parents is like we don't keep secrets in houses, and that really becomes a really good thing, and that's a good cue that protects our kids. So secrets we don't want. However, privacy is actually a really healthy and a good thing. And so, privacy is a boundary around something that is set to protect us and others. So, privacy protects relationships, privacy secures relationships, and privacy gets to be this piece of intentionality that we get to work through, right? And so, today, Katie, the specific areas we're going to talk about privacy for our kids is going to be mainly like tweens and teens. We're going to talk about privacy around social media,
Mhm.
technology, property, cars, rooms, those kind of things, and like friendships.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so
It's
Katie,
super good.
what are some of the things that you think about when we talk about privacy for our kiddos?
Okay, so first, I just want to say I love that like construct, right? The way that you kind of set up the difference between privacy and secrecy, because I think that it's confusing.
Yeah.
And so I think we can kind of tease that out under each of these areas. But okay, so one of the ways that it um, sort of plays itself out that I think everybody thinks of when we talk about this topic is in social media. I think okay, so I this makes me think of I think it's Snapchat. So I've been really cautious or nervous about letting my kids get on social media at all. And
Mhm.
then Snapchat has like a teen version or like a tween version or something where they can get Snapchat, but it's super limited
Mm.
to like the parent has to approve their friends and the parent can see who they're chatting with, but
Oh.
can't see what they're sending. And so I think that kind of intertwines with privacy,
Uh-huh.
right? Like letting your kiddo have privacy in their conversations, um, and autonomy to
Yeah.
manage that well. I th I wonder about where the line is with, like I think people have different varying levels of comfort with that with their kids and, like, at what age that feels okay and what
Yeah.
age you feel like your kid can manage that, and the different social media platforms have different options, right?
Yeah.
Or they don't, for, like, parent supervision and all of that. What do you think of about secrecy, though? Like, how does secrecy work with social media?
Yeah, I think that secrecy, the way that okay, so the way that like I teach and talk to my kids about it is that like secrecy is hiding it from someone or being really intentional about that hiding aspect, right? And so, wanting to make sure parents don't know what you're doing or don't want to be on it, like don't do it. Whether it's because like your parents will flat out say like we're not doing this in our house, or because there are some things happening on those things that a kiddo doesn't want their parents to see for whatever reason. And so I think that's a piece that's really important. Um, is how do we help balance that for our kids and how do we help know that? And so I think that this is a hard conversation in this day and age, especially when we're talking about technology,
Mhm.
especially when we're talking about like phones and social media and those pieces, because it is a really charged topic. Because I think that a lot of times as individuals, will post everything, right? So, like, everything in I do is on my Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but then there's secrecy around, like, "Oh, no, you can't see it, mom,"
Yeah.
right? So,
Uh-huh.
I'm sharing everything online to my Instagram friends, but mom's not Instagram friend. "Mom, you can't see it." And so to me, like, that's hard to teach our kids about privacy when we live in such a public world in so many ways. And that like we can do a whole podcast on like social media and like what we know about brain development
Yeah.
and protecting our kids about it. But like those are the red flags that I really believe like, okay, well, that becomes secrecy then. Like that's not privacy, that's secrecy. If the whole world gets to see what I'm
Mm.
doing, but you, my caregiver, my person in my world, the person that I'm accountable to and for doesn't get to see it. Like that's secrecy.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So, what do we say to our kids who are like, "I should be able to post what I want without you being in the middle of all of that, mom. That is I have a right to my privacy."
It's posting on social media is not privacy. That you lose your thing to privacy the
Mm,
moment you put it out in the world.
'kay. What if they are direct messages?
I'm just gonna say kind of how I stand on these. I'm very shut down when it comes to these things. So, like,
Okay,
my
yeah,
kids
say more.
have yeah, so my kids, they have phones, but they're a very specific phone that literally they cannot get online. They cannot talk to anyone that is not has not been approved as a contact. I theoretically can see every message they send via my computer, and that's the phone that they all start with. And then for our family, once you've turned 14 and you've shown that you're responsible, you get an iPhone, right? And so that becomes a little bit different. iPhones, you can shut down and their phones do have limits and do have parameters. But for the most part, like it belongs to the family. You are renting it. And that's kind of how we work that
Mhm,
conversation. And so I my job as a parent is to teach my kids how to do these things well.
mhm,
And so I think that comes with like teaching them how to have a fight if they're going to fight via text message. Right. And so I have to know
mm,
that they're saying really, really mean, nasty things, right? So I can step in and say, like, would you say this to someone's face? Would you call them that to their face? And if the answer is no, then we do not say it in text message. But that's like something they have to learn, right? That's something that like we all have to learn. And so that comes with a level of like, you can have some privacy, but like
mhm.
I'm going to check it. And that's part of it. And I think that's important. Um, I don't know. Does that make sense, Katie? Like, what questions
Yeah,
do you hear? Like,
yeah, it absolutely makes sense, and then I think that I think the following logical question is, what does checking look like, right? Because then, like, I
yeah.
have, so the rule at my house is, so it's similar in that, so my girls have iPhones, they're real locked down, they have real specific time limits, they have, like, their internet browsers are, kinda locked down unless I know exactly what they're doing, and they have to always share passwords with me and their dad.
Mhm.
So if ever I can't like unlock their phone, then the phone becomes mine. But I think I haven't in probably a year felt compelled to go check anything. And that probably is like, I don't know, it like almost feels like I should be more. And I just am like not real concerned. Because now they're older enough that we did so much monitoring in the beginning.
Mhm.
And it was like so many times in a row, so many months in a row of it going really well that now I'm just not worried about it. Which means I should probably check. This has been so long. They're probably like, "Oh, mom doesn't look at my phone anymore." But I don't know, what does that, like, cadence look like for you? Or what do people like, when people come and ask you, "What should my cadence be?" Of, like, how frequently should I be checking my kid's phone? Like, what's appropriate? What's intrusive? Like, where's that line?
Yeah. Um, okay, so I really like there's a program called Bark, and I really like it because I think it gives us some autonomy as parents. I mean, gives our kids some autonomy and gives us some ability to check. So, my kid who has it, but he has Bark on it, right? And so sometimes it flags like things that are like sexually inappropriate, harmful to themselves, medical concerns, bullying things. And so it'll flag them and it won't tell me the whole conversation or anything like that. But then that gives me a cue to like, hey, can we talk about this? And so it may
Mhm,
just be, for me, it may just be a conversation of like, hey, tell me what happened with X and Y. And
mhm,
why were you in the middle of it? Or if you're a part, like, tell me what's going on. And if they can have that conversation and they walk me through it, I don't feel the need to continue to look into their phone.
mhm.
Right? But if they can't
Yeah,
have that conversation, if we're getting defensive, if we're then the next thing to me is like, okay, well, I'm gonna give me your phone and I'm gonna try to understand. And so like I think that happens. Um and so like you can have some of those parameters in place where you're not having to like check their phone every week to help be helpful. But I think I'll walk you through like what happened with my oldest. He
yeah.
got the iPhone, he was very excited about it, big deal. And then he had a bark message flag. And so I said, hey, let's talk through this. No, and I was like, "Well,
Oh my
if you're
gosh.
not comfortable talking about it, then that means I get to look in your phone." And he said,
Yeah.
"This is my phone. You do not get to be in my phone. This is my property." And so I know this sounds really dramatic, y'all. But
I
in the
know.
moment, this is what I said.
Yeah, I was like, "That is ballsy of him if he
Yeah,
knows you."
he was testing the limits for sure. And so I said to him flat out, like, if my phone, you're right, is mine. If I am breaking rules and the US government thinks that I am breaking rules and being illegal, they then get to search my phone to do the things to protect others. You belong
Mm,
to me. This is mom's government, right? And so if you are doing things that indicate to me that you are going to hurt yourself or others, then it is my job to check.
nice.
Let me tell you, he was not happy about it, but for some reason it clicked for him. So I was very thankful. I don't know if it's because we're in government and like alerted this kind of stuff, but like, so that was like my on the fly move. And so like, that's the thing. Our job is to protect our kids. And
Yeah,
y'all, I am so thankful we didn't grow up in a time with a phone. I am
I know.
so thankful because like they are on so much. And so like, even as a grown up, sometimes I have texted something and been like, "I wish I hadn't have said that in the moment." Like, I
Oh
was
my
so
god,
upset or
I
whatever.
told you
We
that
do
this
it.
morning. I did it
I
yesterday.
know,
Yeah.
but, like, it's so hard and so easy, and so, like, our job is to teach our kids how to do this, and so we
Mhm.
have to know some of these things, and, like, I do not believe that we should be in our kids' phones every day. I do
Yeah,
not believe that at all. I do not believe that I'm going through so if my have to check my kid's phone, I check their text messages, their calls, their search history, and their photos. And then I don't do any of the other things, right? My kids aren't allowed to have social media. And so like there's not that to go. But like I'm not going through all of this stuff. And if I am going through it, I'm going through it with intentionality, right? So like I'm not reading every text message. I'm looking for the words that would be concerning and the
yeah,
conversations that would be concerning. Like, I don't need to know that he's texting Yaya about what he wants for Christmas. Like that's
got it.
fine. And so, like, I
Yeah,
think we have to honor that piece, and I think that can be hard. Like, we have to honor a part of their autonomy and privacy and recognize, like, our job is to step in to support them and help them, not to manage their lives, because like, that is way too much work.
I mean, I think that's the thing that, like, I get, um, not jumpy, but that I wanna work really hard to maintain is letting my kids have their own relationships with people, right? It's not my job to manage your friendship with, you know, whoever, m
Mhm.
like Maddie or Ella or Sophie or whoever, right? Like, it's your job to manage that relationship. My only my only concern is something unsafe happening.
Yes.
Otherwise, like, make your mistakes with interactions and then figure it out. Like, figure out how to walk it back or, compromise or whatever. And if they want to come to me with those problems, perfect. If they want to work it out on their own, perfect.
Yeah. And I'm also gonna say, like, Katie, so, like, when I talk about, like, if they're cursing at someone via text, like, to me, that my kid doesn't have an iPhone. If they are still doing that, like, they don't get an iPhone, like,
Agreed.
in our world, right? And so,
Agreed.
I think that's the piece. So, for me, when I'm thinking about this is my 10, 11, 12-year-old who I'm teaching how to manage this piece,
Yes.
not my 14, 15, 16-year-old. Like, at that point, like you said, they have to manage that, and they have to
Yeah.
hold those consequences.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. Okay. So we've kind of talked about phones and social lives, kind of.
Mhm.
What about their space, like their room or their car even, right?
I know.
So,
What do you tell parents?
um, I think I well, okay, what I tell them and what I do, right, are
Yeah.
close to the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so my girls are not super great at picking up after themselves unless I'm kind of on top of them about it.
Mhm.
And so this is related, I promise.
Me too.
So I don't go into their rooms super often unless I'm going to tuck them in. But then when I go
Mhm.
to tuck them in, I'm like picking up laundry real fast and throwing it in the laundry basket and like grabbing a bunch of cups and taking it to the dishwasher.
Mm.
But I don't, I think there's a line where, like, if I don't want my stuff gone through, I'm not going to go through their stuff, right? If I know my daughter's journal is sitting there, I'm not going to pick it up and go through it unless I am real worried about how she's doing.
And
Um,
she's not responsive, right?
yes, and she's not talking to me about how she's
Mhm.
doing. I'm really glad you made that like delineation because I feel like
Yes.
if we have good communication and I know what's happening, I have no need to get into your private thoughts because you're sharing with me what assistance and help you need.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so I think the thing that to circle back on that whole thing. Sometimes when they're at their dad's, I'll go in and clean their room. And then my oldest was like, "Mom, can you stop doing that? It feels weird that I'm not here and you're like messing all around in my room." And I was like, "Yes, I will stop doing this. Also, you need to know that I open nothing. I just pick up dirty clothes and move dishes around and make your bed. That's it." But I'm gonna respect that
Yeah.
request for privacy, because I
Mhm.
would want it too. I don't want somebody in my room jacking with my stuff.
Yeah. I, I don't go to my kids' rooms. I don't clean up at their in their rooms either.
It's I mean, that's a better call than what I'm doing.
Yeah, their world, I mean, their privileges are very much tied to their chores and me
Mm.
not having to manage them. So, like, I go in there to, like, spot check. I go in there to tuck them in. Let's see. I went through the one time I did go through my oldest dresser drawers, it's because I found out he was hiding food and candy, and I knew he was doing it, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went through his drawer and I found a whole thing of oatmeal cream pies. Where did he buy those oatmeal cream pies? I don't know,
Hilarious.
right? But that was a
Probably
secret. He made that secrecy.
he probably got them from the 7-Eleven you're always talking about.
I'm sure he did, or the Tom Thumb. Both of them are walking distance. So
That's very
yeah,
funny.
I'm sure he did. But that's like literally the only time I ever went through because I knew there was wrappers that I didn't pay for and they kept showing up. So I had to find a solution.
That's
But yeah, I don't
amazing.
go through my kids' rooms. We have very strict rules on bathrooms. Like, hold on, pause. Um, mm, Kids aren't allowed to lock doors, and so I want to say this because I do think there is a piece of like how do we build trust and how do we build safety and how do we build not feeling like we have to have secrecy. And
Mhm.
so I think part of it is like teaching our kids what privacy is in a healthy way
Mm,
of like I said, we're not going through their stuff. They don't feel the need to lock and they're not allowed to lock doors. Not that like we're gonna walk in there, everyone has to knock, the very clear rule. But like my kids don't need secrecy, and so that's one of the ways we say that in our lives. Like, we don't need secrecy, we don't do secrets, so, like, don't need to lock your door. You may tell me to pause, you may tell someone they can't come in. That is fine, but, like, we're not doing that, so I think, like, that's another way that's small, but that we differentiate that in our house.
okay, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah,
Why are your kids not allowed to lock doors?
that's a great question. I don't know, I wasn't allowed to lock doors when I was a kid. I don't know if I've ever thought about it.
Hmm,
You know, it's one of those rules that's, like, you were given, so you're just like, "Okay, let's do it." I don't really know, Katie.
that's fascinating. I mean, I think maybe they're
I
old enough to
know.
be able to lock the door when they go to the
I
bathroom.
think so. Oh, no, no, no,
Maybe
bathrooms they can.
Oh,
Bedroom
okay, great.
doors. Thank you for clarifying. No, no, bathroom doors, yeah, you can shut and lock the bathroom door, but you got a timer. My kids would be in the shower for 30 minutes if they could.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yep, correct.
So, I mean, but no, 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 you're allowed to lock bathroom doors, just not bedroom doors. But I
Interesting.
but I don't know necessarily why I feel that's important, other than I was not allowed to when I was a child. Now that we're thinking now we're actually talking about it. I
We
don't
should
know.
we should look up some rules. This is a good privacy versus secrecy thing maybe, or like a good
Yeah.
privacy thing. I feel like I want to be able to lock the door when I'm changing clothes in my bedroom.
I changed my bathroom, maybe that's why my closet's my bathroom?
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
your kids don't have, like, a bathroom in their room?
And so you have to knock, and you can't open a door until someone tells you to.
But what if they do? Like, if you have, like, an annoying little sister or little brother who's, like, just gonna barrel in.
We have lots of annoying little ones in my house. I mean, if you ask any of them, they all think the other one's annoying.
Well, yeah, I know, I
Do you know
hear
what's
you.
funny? I don't know if it's because this literally was a rule since they were itty bitty, but like we do not have that problem in our
Yeah, that
house.
makes sense.
We haven't had that problem. So I don't even know. Like I don't know why it's important to me that they not lock doors other than I wasn't allowed to.
You
And
know
and because this has been always the expectation of like knock wait, we don't have walk-ins. And I got two boys and a girl and they still don't
yeah.
they've been pretty good about not I can't think of a single incident honestly.
You know what's gonna be funny is when they,
It's going to
like
happen.
no, when they move in with, like, they get married or they have, like, apartments and roommates and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and they don't lock their
Yeah.
doors, and then somebody's gonna, like, come walking in their room.
Totally walk in.
Uh-huh, and they're gonna be like, "What has happened? I don't understand."
Why aren't you knocking and waiting?
Uh-huh. I mean,
That
and
is
that
so
is
true.
it's a good life skill, right? Like, to expect someone to knock and then wait, like, that's appropriate. That's super appropriate.
Yeah.
My
This
kids
is
would
so funny.
my kids would die to have locks on their doors, so to be clear, my kids don't have locks on their doors. I would do it. I would let them lock their doors. I mean, I think it's probably a fire safety hazard problem too.
Maybe that was it.
Um,
Y'all, I slept so hard one time that the fireman literally woke me up on a fire alarm, and so maybe that
oh
was
my
my mom
god.
was like, she won't wake up for anything, which wouldn't. But once I had children, that changed. But prior to that, literally took someone shaking me to wake me up.
Well, then I would not let you lock the door either.
So maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it.
Interesting.
Huh, the
Hmm.
things we learn.
Oh, goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
I okay, and then we can get back on topic, but I realized that I really don't like socks on the floor. So like, when
Oh, yeah.
kids take their socks off and they just like throw them on the floor. Hate it.
Yes.
Hate it. And
Very
so
nauseous.
I dated somebody for a little bit who would like take his socks off and put them on the floor. And then I would just like I would like kindly pick them up and put them on an elevated surface, like the coffee table or like a
That's
chair
what
or
you'd rather
something.
have them on a coffee table
Uh-huh.
than on the floor?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I don't know what, and it, never in my life have I thought that this was weird until that interaction. He was like, "Why would you rather have them on a coffee table than the floor?" And I was like, I can't with the floor. I just, I don't,
The floor.
I can't, I can't do it. I don't get these off the floor. It just feels dirty.
Mm,
I don't know.
that is
I can't do it.
so funny.
It's not funny. Anyway, so
Very
this has
cool.
been interesting. We learned about locking doors, socks on the floor, fire alarms.
All the things.
We covered a lot of ground today. We
Mm.
covered a lot of ground today. All right. So, hope this was helpful for today and maybe, moderately entertaining. And for today, we hope that your kids' shoes would be findable and your Target trip be amazingly therapeutic. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Our music is by Stephen Bedall. If you're loving these conversations, we'd be so grateful if you followed the podcast, left a review, or shared this episode with a friend. That's how we grow this little front porch community. And remember, the days are long,
but the years are short. While we often talk about mental health, this should not be used as a substitute for mental health treatment. If you or your child are struggling, please reach out to a local provider.